Like, you got to prepare, you got to be ready to go, and you got to believe. If you believe that in life, it don't matter if it's sports or life, if you truly believe that you can do something, even if you're in over your head, even if you bit off more than you can chew, if you believe and just keep chipping away at it, like some people just need belief.
Welcome back to the Fish Tank presented by iHeartRadio right here on the Miami Dolphins Podcast Network. Seth Levit and the man with the best hands in the podcast business. And Juice, things are getting a little heated. We haven't even pressed record yet. And this is what happens when you make a guest wait 5 years before he comes back on, as if he was begging to come back on.
Right. Big Seth, you know what? It is never going to change, man. That's the love, man.
Yeah.
You know, and this guy here, though, man, this is one of my favorites of all time, bro. And you know this because we talk about it a lot. Always have my back, man. A tough get, man, and a great get. What I really want to ask him for, though, is if I can get a couple basketballs back into my yard that he kicked to my neighbor's yard. But other than that, though, man, we're good. We're golden right now, bro.
I don't know if the bladders are still good on those things at this stage.
Yeah, they might have a little bubble on the side of them.
Guaranteed they do. Worn out, for sure.
For sure.
Too funny. Well, you said we're golden. We're definitely golden because this man is wrapped in gold. It's actually the first Hall of Famer we ever had on the Fish Tank. And kicked off, it's crazy, it was 2019, JT. 2019, you kicked off our second season ever in the Fish Tank. That's how long ago it was. I don't even think we were on the Dolphins Podcast Network at that point. I hope you're not like bookending us. I hope you're not shutting down the Fish Tank after this episode as well. But Jason Taylor is back in the Fish Tank, man. Appreciate you joining us.
It is my pleasure, guys. It's been a while. I realized it was 2019.
Yeah.
A lot has changed in the world since then. We all got locked up at home for a while. Things have changed. We all got a little older, a little grayer, lost a little more hair. You two think y'all slick wearing hats to cover it up, but I'm going to go ahead and expose my receding hairline.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
You got a hole in your natural, man. You got a nice hole in your natural, yeah.
That's why I prop my computer up so I can get this angle. You know, I don't have to lean forward to talk to y'all. But no, listen, it is it's always great to be on with you guys. I know it's been a minute, but as you guys probably know, and I tell you, I am a big fan of the Fish Tank, and I do a lot of traveling and driving and flying and all kind of stuff. So I've been through a lot of episodes. You guys do a phenomenal job. I mean, capturing stories of our franchise, obviously, but even guys outside that have played elsewhere, different perspectives. Some fun, some serious. Sometimes you damn near be in tears from a serious story and also from a laugh. So I think it's phenomenal. I think it's scalable. I think you guys should be doing all 32 teams in this league, and it's you guys got a knack for doing this shit. And it's really enjoyable. It is. I don't listen to music on the road. I listen to Fish Tank. I listen to some things from it's like some Kirby Smart talks, Nick Saban talks, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm kind of a nerd, but Fish Tank is always there. And you guys, kudos to you guys, and give you your flowers. You guys do a hell of a job. Keep it up.
Man, appreciate We're going to touch on that some, I'm sure, because we know that you're a fan of the show because we made you. We forced you to be a fan of the show. But once we got you in, now you're stuck with us, right? I love it.
Yep.
Juice, I needed him. I needed him to be great line, great movie. I needed him to be a fan, Juice, because I'm taking so much damn time off from work. I had to get approval because otherwise I'd be fired by now if he didn't like the show.
Yeah, I see. Hey, bro.
You think you're slick. I knew what you were doing, but it's all good.
All right, yeah, we'll definitely dive into that a little bit later. But all right, here we go. Let's get it started, JT. Nick Saban was just on the Pivot podcast and was asked this one question. He's asked which one player in his 50 years of coaching who impacted him the most in terms of teaching him something. And Channing, our boy Channing Crowder, he was trying to get Nick to say him. Of course, Nick being Nick. Nick said it was, said it was you. He said it was you, JT. He basically said that you helped him adapt to the NFL as an NFL coach as opposed to a college guy, which is, it's a whole different world, and help him overcome problems that the team were facing during those 2 years that he was here. So now, I don't know if he was specifically referring to your tirade in Cleveland, but how meaningful is it to you, especially now given you're in this coaching profession, to hear that from a guy who won more national championships than anybody in college football history?
Well, first of all, in typical Channing Crowder fashion, he would try to interject himself as being that person. Now, I think Nick drafted Channing in 05. So Nick was with us 05 and 06. For those 2 years, I've never heard Coach Saban call Channing Crowder Channing. He always called him Gator. I don't even think he knew his name. So it obviously wasn't going to be my man Channing. But no, it was great. I heard that last week or whatever it was earlier this week or whenever. And, it means a lot, obviously, coming from the GOAT. I mean, he is, I know he's not for everybody. Some people down here still have dislike for him or for whatever because he transferred and went to a different place, like everybody's doing nowadays.
Right.
But Nick is obviously, or Coach Saban has always been a lot to me. I love him to death and will forever respect the hell out of him and learn so much from him. I became a better player. I became a better leader. I became a better person in a lot of ways and learned a lot of things to do to make myself better. And I learned some things that you maybe don't want to do in the future if you take that same career path or whatnot. So what he really did was he made me a better leader. And we had very in-depth talks about it where, leadership is lonely sometimes, and you can't always be the popular guy. You can't always want to be liked, not want to be afraid to step on somebody's toes. In the environment in sports, in particular football, and really specifically in that locker room, the dynamic, as Juice and Seth, you too. I mean, you spend a lot of time in those locker rooms. The dynamic in there is different. Your HR department in your locker room is your leaders, is your players. The person that waters the culture. The coach implements the culture, but the people that water it and grow it and cultivate it are your leaders and your players. If you don't have strong leadership, you're going to have issues in your locker room. We've seen stories all the time. Every week you see it from different teams, different organizations. So Coach Saban helped me understand that, dude, you got to be disliked sometimes. And I'm like, yeah, it's easy for you to say because you love being disliked. Like you've embraced this role of being hated
Pretty
by
damn
some
good
people.
at it, Coach.
That was a challenge for me. And you guys were around for some of it. There was times where I probably took it a little further than it needed to go. Don't apologize for it, except for the coffee machine and the soda machines that I broke. But it helped me grow and understand that it was necessary. And leadership is not always having to talk and yap and yell at somebody. Like, that ain't it. Sometimes it's kicking somebody in the ass. Sometimes it's putting your arm around them. Most of the time, it's about picking somebody up and picking them up, whether it be with your play and throughout the course of a game, or picking them up when they've had a struggle, whether it be at home, with their wife, with their kids, or the young kids now that I'm coaching, whether it be struggles of moving to a new place, transitioning to a new environment, learning how to get up on their own. Maybe they oversleep, maybe they make some bad decisions off the field. It's not about throwing people away. It's about picking them up, dusting them off, not enabling them, not entitling them, but teaching them and showing them that some of our greatest lessons in life are from our losses and our adversity. Coach really pushed me to do that. Was there a part of the NFL being different than college? Yeah, of course. You're dealing with different people. You're dealing with a different athlete. Truthfully, a lot of NFL players have been bullshitted all their lives. Right. People just blowing smoke up their ass all their lives and tell them how good they are. And sometimes they need that. They need to get punched right in the mouth and learn that this ain't the way it's going to work, or this is not conducive to us winning, or it's not conducive to our culture or the environment, or us winning, or you being successful in your profession. So had to do that sometimes. Not all the time, but I still I always wanted to be loved, but he taught me that you could be loved or you could be respected, or you could have a combination of both. And if the guys that love you, if they truly respect you when you jump their ass or say the way it needs to be, or even correct yourself and let them see you be self-deprecating and correct yourself, it goes a long way. That was a long-ass answer. My bad.
No, you're good, man. It's great because I love the Nick Saban talk, because I think a lot of people have a misconception of Nick Saban. And I'm going to tell you, the best thing that Nick Saban could have done, in my opinion, was do game day this year. I thought it was really, really incredible on College game day this year. And it really showed a different personality. We've seen the commercials. Commercials can be whatever they are, but his true personality came out, man. And I thought that was super. I got off the hate Nick train after this. You know what I mean? And also from part of the pivot interview where he talked about maybe his biggest regret was like taking the job in Miami because he really wanted to be around kids that he can coach and mold and things that he was talking about. But I think that Nick really showed a personality that we didn't know he had, bro. And you probably being on the defense side of the ball, especially, you guys probably saw a lot of this out of Nick compared to what the rest of us Dolphins actually got a chance to see.
I agree with you 100%. Him doing game day, I think, opened everybody's eyes. Even you see someone like Bill Belichick that gets out of the hoodie and puts a suit on or whatever, and he talks football behind a camera, being more casual. You see that personality side. You see some of the things that, why so many people admire Coach Belichick. And obviously, I think, like you said, the commercials are one thing. Coach ain't an actor, all right? So the commercials ain't the greatest,
right?
But what Coach is he's an amazing person. He is a great dude. He's an amazing person. He's a great leader. He's a very, very intelligent person. He's a very high achiever. So that's some of the things that, the mediocre people do not blend well with Coach Saban and with a lot of us that are high achievers. It's just that's what drives you nuts. And I think, he saw that in this league in some guys. Some guys are just happy to be here, get a free hat and a T-shirt. Some guys are just looking for the paycheck. Some guys are looking for the girls. Some guys are looking for the fame. But you got to find, the elite guys are looking for championships. I think it's sometimes easier or different molding that culture and environment in a college setting. But he talked about how he made a mistake and that was his regret was leaving college. But I don't want to speak for him, but I bet there's a component. And I didn't watch the whole pivot interview, but there's probably a component of that where those 2 years in Miami made him a better coach when he went back to Alabama, where he really fell back in love with what his true love was. And look, the 2 years he spent here with us in Miami, I would give up a lot to go back and do that again, because those were 2 great years for me. I know people hated him. I know the media didn't like him. I know people in the building, and he was a little rough with some people or whatever.
How was he to Jason Taylor though?
Oh man,
that's all. That's all.
He's the only guy in South Florida who liked him for a minute.
That's all we care about in relationships, right? How's my one-on-one with you? That's all that matters.
What can you do for me? How do you make me feel? But yeah, I mean, he was great with me. Did we have times where we didn't butt heads? Where we have times where we were, he was the boss, I was the employee. I understand that he couldn't do what I did, and I couldn't do what he. So there was the mutual respect. There was a time where I snapped on the field during practice and cussed everybody. If you had a heartbeat, you were getting cussed out that day. And I kicked the ball, and I remember Charlie was trying to spot the ball, and I threw that bitch up in the stands. And then if he went to put it down again, I'm like, Charlie, if you put that ball down, I'm gonna throw that bitch in the creek over there. I'm telling you now. And it was one of them days, and I told, I'm not gonna go too much into it, but I told everybody. I pointed at them first, and I told them all they were number one, and I wasn't using this finger. And then, whatever. But after that, I go inside, and Stu was like, "Hey, Coach Saban, like to see you. I want you to come upstairs."
Yeah, no shit.
And I'm like, "All right, well, you tell him I'll be up when I'm done. Like when I'm gonna shower and shit. I'll get up there when I'm done." And Stu was like standing in my locker. He's like, "Yeah, why don't you just run up there now? I'm still in my practice pants, and I think I have my shoulder pads off already. Helmet was on the ground. I was pissed off. I still have my cleats on and stuff. I'm like, Stu, I appreciate it. I know you're doing your job. I'll be up when I'm done. I'm gonna get undressed. I'm gonna take a damn shower, and I'll stop by. I try to be a tough guy." And he was like JT, like for do us all a favor, like can you please
don't make me go deliver that message. That's what he was saying.
He was like, "Can you just help me out and just run up there real quick?" So I remember I kicked my shoes and shit off. I go upstairs. Remember that door to the office, Ann's sitting there. The door's open. I walk, and I guess word had gotten around that it was a rough day for JT and in the Miami Dolphins offense. So I walk up, and Ann's like, she sees me, look like she saw a ghost. And she was like, "How are you?" I'm like, "I'm good." "Coach in there?" She's like, "Yeah, go ahead in there." So I walk in, I sit down, them 2 chairs that were in front of the desk. And the behind the desk, you see out to the practice field. Remember those big windows behind?
Yeah.
I know you all been in there. So the main desk is behind them. He got the little screens up. Jimmy used to look at stocks. Nick was watching film. the practice field was out there, and coach had his feet up. And I came in and sat down. And I was like, Coach, you want to see me? And he didn't say a word. He just had his feet up. I saw he pressed pause and the film stopped. But he let like a play or two go. I'm watching the play. And I'm like, I'm sorry. He hit pause. He finally spins his chair around. He looks at me. He was like, and it was one of those days where I thought this is what he meant when he said, like, lead differently. He turns around. He was like, all right, first of all, that shit was awesome. He's like, that was awesome. We needed that. I think it went a long way. I remember Jason Garrett was like looking at me like, "What the hell is going on?"
Of course.
Well, he was in there. Oh, you're saying on the field?
He was on the field. Yeah.
Okay.
It was bad. It was probably a bit much, but whatever. So coach was like, "That was awesome. That was unbelievable. That was a lot." He's like, "Number 2, don't ever do that shit again." I was like, "All right, man." He's like, "You good?" I was like, "I'm good if you good." He's like, "I'm good." I'm like, "All right." And I got up and walked out. That was it.
That's too good.
So how was Coach with me? Coach was great. Coach, man, I know I'm fanboying, but he's Coach means a lot to me, man. He means everything to me. And there's still, I'll reach out when he was coaching at Bama, and I was even when I was coaching in high school, where I was coaching at the U, I would always reach out to him a couple times a year and just tell him thank you. And I think we should never pass up opportunities to tell people how much we appreciate them, how much we love them. We all see how short life is, and stuff happens quick, man. You know, it's just, you don't expect it. So every once in a while, I would just call him and be like, Coach, I don't want anything. I'm just calling to let you know I appreciate you. I appreciate the impact you had. I appreciate watching you. You inspire me from a distance, you know, watching you coach, watching the teams play, watching how you guys approach the game. I know people in Miami are going to hate me for all this love, but
they're going to understand them. They're going to understand it more, I think, JT. Yeah. You know what I mean? I got a better understanding of them too, man. This is priceless, bro. It really is.
Good stuff. Real good stuff. So, all right, we talked about the pivot interview. We'll stay present day. Well, obviously that wasn't present day, but on current events, literally as we are recording this day, I know this is going to come out in a few days, but the day that we're recording this, your son Mason just landed in Mobile, Alabama to participate in the Senior Bowl, to get one step closer to his dream of becoming an NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that the advice you gave him as he was heading to the airport wasn't the same advice that like Gary Wishard gave you back in 97, like go find somebody to fight. No. But as someone who is a member of the Senior Bowl Hall of Fame, mm-hmm. and a guy who really like that Senior Bowl week and that game helped you make a name for yourself, kind of the next level of you achieving your dream. And coming from a school like Akron, it's not a shot, but because it was not a school that was one of, you know, the higher profile program, that Senior Bowl gave you an opportunity to really get in front of people. So knowing all of that, and then of course, most importantly, you being dad, what kind of pride are you experiencing as you're watching all of this unfold for Mason?
That's tremendous. Way better than playing. You know, watching all my kids go through their journey, in particular Mason right now. I talked to him last night. You know, keep it simple. You know, good luck. Go do your thing. He's laid the groundwork and he's put the work in. He's not skipped any steps to get to where he is. Had a chance to go to LSU and play for 3 years. Very few guys get a chance to leave early and have the success early on. So, you know, Brian Kelly gave him a chance to play early on at LSU, and he's played 2,000 some snaps. You know, he's done the work, and he gets to this point now to go continue to climb that ladder, go through his journey. So good luck. Go do what you do. You don't need coached by me. All you need is let you know I'm proud of you. I love you more than words can ever express. And I'll be up there tomorrow. I'm getting on the plane tomorrow. Right. I'm gonna go recruit and watch my son in the Senior Bowl, because these are very precious times that you will never, ever, ever get back. And part of, you know, I do have some regrets over the last few years with coaching ball. I love it. I pour into it. I love my players. I love what I do. But you miss some of those times throughout your kids' journeys. I'm blessed to have Isaiah here now playing at the U. You know, but Mason not having a chance to see but one game a year sometimes is really difficult.
You know, and I'm glad you just mentioned Isaiah, because we're talking about Mason, the Senior Bowl, and again, it's happening right now. But the last time you were on the show, and the kids were all still in, not necessarily grade school, but I think they were like middle school age and younger. Zoe might have been in elementary school at the time. And it was like, hey, anything they're doing, if it's a school play, if it's a game, if it's whatever, I want to make sure I get out there. And now they're all kind of finding their own path. But Isaiah is showing up in the same defensive meetings that you're in now. You've got him here at UM. And then Zoe's now a collegiate athlete herself. And Jordan's just getting things started. But what is that like, man, to see all? I know how important it was for you to find a way kind of out of your circumstances through sport, but to see all three of your older children living that life and where sport is taking them after it created this whole world for you, or at least you maximized the opportunity that it gave you. Just if you could give me a broader perspective, because I know it's not limited to one child.
Yeah. I mean, I've got 3 kids in 3 different places, so it gets difficult, Yeah. But like you said, having Isaiah here now is great. I had a chance to coach since my boys played football, when it was youth ball and the Davie Broncos, and then Cooper City, whenever we were there, the Colts or whatever it was, and then on to St. Thomas Aquinas, and had a chance to be there for 5 years coaching them all the way through, Isaiah and Mason, and Zoe was playing volleyball then at St. Thomas and her club stuff. And then now having Isaiah in the building is priceless. I get to see him almost every day, except when I'm on the road recruiting. He's home. He gets to have a relationship with his little brother. Zoe's doing her thing out in Arizona State, playing beach volleyball. But I live through my kids. I have a profession, I have a job, I have a passion, but at this point, I live through my kids and seeing them happy, seeing them successful, seeing them struggle sometimes. See them struggle and overcome it, or struggle and get back up and dust themselves out. They need all that. They need. They've been blessed. I've been blessed to be able to provide a good life for them, and by some of the worldly standards of some of the opportunities they've been put in, some of the places they've been put into. So seeing them grow and overcome and go through adversity and have successes is amazing. It's the best. I mean, it's. Sometimes I sit back like, man, I should, if I retired again, I can go, be here more. I could be in Arizona. I could be in Phoenix and, with Zoe more. I could be with Isaiah or Mason more. Isaiah's back home. You try to juggle all that. You can't, but you know what you do? You raise your kids the best way you know how. You discipline them, you teach them, you show them the way. You dust them off when they fall down. You applaud them when they do well. Then you gotta let them go, and go grow and go do your thing. I'm dad now. Like yesterday, I was signing autographs at the football tournament, and I told the kids, I was like, "Yeah, I'll sign your hat, but this is the one you need to get."
Right.
I said, "This is
Get it now."
So there was a kid that got a football sign with me and Mason. We were both on it, and they signed a hat. I was like, "You guys now have 1 of 1 and 2 of 2,
right,
in the world of."
Damn,
father and son.
Seth, I didn't take advantage of that situation yesterday.
You missed it.
That's a great point right there.
You missed it. I was too busy working.
Yesterday's were free. Now it's going to cost you.
Yeah, now it's going to cost you. Well, I know Seth, so I know Big Seth, man.
Yeah, you're right.
Speaking of Mason, man, he busted his tail at the event, man. And you honestly, man, Jason, what you're talking about is honestly the gospel, man. Your kids are exemplary of what you want, how you want to raise your kids. Of course, they do have, who I don't know anything, but everybody's going to have some things that happen in life that they have to adjust to, man. But, man, Mason could have, like any other Hall of Fame son, could have just sat around and did nothing, man. But that was not him, man. He was on the grind. He was busting his tail, man. And that's a tribute to you and your family, man. And it was awesome to see. And you talk about growth. I mean, he's probably bigger than you now, right?
It's a big ass dude.
It's a big dude right there, bro.
He is. You can't whoop him yet, but he's big.
Well, because you always got to strike that fear in him, no matter what.
Yeah.
He might be able to get you, but he don't think he can because of past precedents.
He can. I've been hearing that shit all my life. I ain't lost since '97.
That's right, change the narrative. Well, don't make me bring John Bach out here, dog.
That's why I just said I ain't lost since '97.
Oh, since '97.
I love it. All right. We hit you enough old guy questions, man. Let's keep it moving here, man. Let's keep it here. All right. So we know you're a beast on the football field, as well as actually something took place. Nick Saban's first regular season game as an NFL head coach. which coincidentally, which is a big word like mayonnaise, Big Seth, was also the first ever game for Mike McDaniel as an NFL coach, because he was coaching, as an intern for the Denver Broncos in 2005. Because in Broncos, pretty much we beat them up all game long. That being said, though, you had to find a way to end this thing in dramatic fashion. You, JT, had to find a way. Even though the Dolphins were up 27-10, with time running out, Denver was trying to get some, I don't know why you put it this way, Seth, moral factory points in the end of the game. But that's okay, though. All right? Gets down to the 6-yard line. Do you remember what happened after that, JT?
I do. Jake the Snake dropped back the pass. I forget who was blocking me. I think it wasn't a tight end. I think it was a tackle, the left tackle. I think I did a little stab chop on the outside arm. Came around the backside of Jake the Snake from the blind side, knocked the ball out. I think I missed the fumble initially and kicked it forward a little bit. Then it took that big hop like you like on onside, when you kick it onside, and hopped up to me. And that's tough though, man. You got a September game in Miami, first game of the season, so you're in shape, but you're still not in game shape. You went through training camp. You don't do much in the preseason, so that's like the first one. Late in the game, I was a bitch to go 85 yards now. I was, and then I think
you went. How far did you go again?
I think it was 85.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But I think the stadium we had the baseball dirt. Were the Marlins still in the stadium?
Yep.
Zeus, you run from that grass, then you hit that baseball dirt. You get like a little, like you need a tune-up, like you got too much gunk in your carburetor or whatever. Like, and I remember hitting that, and there was an offensive lineman. I don't know why he was running. He was chasing me. Like,
how was he still in the picture, JT? After 95 yards, 90-some yards, how was he still in the picture?
It was 85 yards. He's in the picture because they had the wide lens. They zoomed out. So when I saw the replay on TV,
so you copy.
Juice, you know how it works as you play offense. I pick up at the screen at first to see. I was trying to find out where the snake was because that kid could run.
He could run.
Somebody had blocked him, or he had fallen or something. Maybe I just ran by.
Take those guys out, man. You can't take them out anymore, but take them out back then.
But I remember a big boy running across the field. I'm like, why is this dude chasing? Why? Like, they should have just took a knee. Take a knee or just run the ball and get your running back some yards. But they were on the 6-yard line trying to get a moral victory and take the shit out of here. But I do remember, I think when I crossed the goal line and I was dead, exhausted. And I think Randy McMichael was the first one. He ran over there and jumped on me in the end zone, and then they all piled on me. And I seriously thought that was a bad one. That was a bad moment. I seriously thought I was going to die because I could not breathe. I was so exhausted from being a long game in the heat, and then the whole team piled on. But that was a good one. That was Coach Saban's welcome back to the NFL, and we got after that ass early in September.
Yeah, you know what, JT? Is it true though that you played most of that 2005 season with the plantar fascia in your feet, in both feet?
I did. Right? Yeah, I did. I didn't tell him at the time. I think the story may have come out afterwards, but when I first heard, I forget which one I heard, the left or the right one, whatever. Once you injure one, you start to change your gait a little bit. So you have other issues that come up, whether it be hip, back, knee, the other plantar fascia. So I heard it in a home game, and it really didn't bother. Like that week leading up, it was sore, and I never had plantar fasciitis. It was sore, like my arch and all that stuff, my heel. You get the massage, you roll it out on a lacrosse ball or whatnot. But it wasn't like I had an issue with like needing insoles. You get in the game, you get all jacked up for the game and
for sure
and juiced up, pardon the pun. So you don't feel a whole lot. So I heard it, and I never told the trainers it was bothering me because it wasn't like that. It was just sore. It's football soreness. But I heard it and like it popped on an offensive play where I finally got in and got to play receiver. So I damn sure wasn't going to tell nobody got hurt on offense because first of all, the coaches would have gotten killed for it.
Right.
And then I never saw the offensive side of the ball again. So when I lined up wide, I remember I was wide out to the left on the visitor sideline, and they were going to throw a fade to me. And I ended up getting like grabbed or something, pass interference, which they always did. Because, it's not a bad penalty for the defense. They lose a yard or half a yard, but we get a new set of downs, whatever. So I used to hate when they did that because I know, like, I'm not going to get the ball because they're going to just tackle me. They did it a couple of times with the Jets when I was playing up at the Jets, too, or when we played at the Jets. But anyway, I take off to run the fade, and as soon as I pushed off, it popped. And you feel like you got like shot in the bottom of the foot. And I'm like, oh shit, what is that? I try to get the ball, the pass interference, whatever. And I'm just hoping, I'm like, man, don't call me off the field because I got to run all the way across to get out. I think I played the next play too. I think they left me in the next play and they ran the ball and I had to go block, but whatever. But I damn sure wasn't going to say I got hurt on offense. Next series comes out, first play on defense. I get my stance, I take off and I start hobbling. I'm like, ooh, my foot. But anyway, I get through the game. But yeah, I tore it. And then come to find out, I guess the best cure for plantar fasciitis is, or one of the cures is they cut it and disconnect it. So they said, you're going to be all right. It's just going to hurt like a son of a gun for about 5-6 weeks. Then like a week later, my other foot started hurting. And then I got plantar fasciitis for a while. Like it was bothering me for a while. It wasn't torn. It was just inflamed or injured. And then late in that year, I ended up popping the other one. So I tore both plantar fascias in 1 year, which they healed up better, quicker. And you get rid of the constant maintenance of having to deal with plantar fasciitis, but they both pop. And I'm like, I'm not one for missing games. So I had to get shot up every game. It was the worst. It was the worst pain. It was the worst injury. It was bad.
People don't get that, man. Getting shot in the foot, man, is whoo.
Oh,
I'll take it.
All the nerve endings down there.
Like, everything. It's like,
you know it's bad because you guys been around. Juice, you've been through this. You know it's like when you go to a doctor and they're like, oh, you got to get a shot, whether it be a vaccine or whatever it is. Is this going to hurt? Nah, you good. Dentist, is this going to hurt? They all be lying anyway, but dentist, because everything hurts in the dentist. They're like, no, you'll just be a little pinch. So I asked, forget who was doing it, the first time doing it. And I'm like, hey, I'm deathly afraid of needles. Is this going to hurt? It's going to be bad. And I remember the doctor handed me a towel. He was like, you're going to need to bite this. Like, he's like, I'm going to be honest with you, JT, it's going to be really bad. And I'm like, when the doctor tells you that going in, you're like, oh, Lord.
This can't
and I remember the first time I got it, I think the first game I got it was, pretty sure the first game I got shot up was when we played the New Orleans Saints in Baton Rouge because Hurricane Katrina went through New Orleans and devastated that area. And they had to move the game to Tiger Stadium in Death Valley. So we're in the visitors' locker room in Death Valley. And there's a reason why they call it Death Valley, because whatever goes in the locker room, I felt like they died and stayed there. That thing was nasty. There was like this back room. It had like a single light bulb hanging from a string, like from the ceiling, like, and it was swaying because
like
the draft in there. Yeah, like there was like it was like sticky. It was like a little moist in there because there was
pools
no ventilation.
Water on the floor and all
It
this.
was like you could hear like it's like a movie. You could hear like the little drip of water in the background every 6 seconds. You hear a little drip. It was terrible. And I remember going in there and laid down, and Doc rolled up a Gatorade towel. It was like, "You gonna need this." And I remember before I got shut up, Tony's punk ass, Tony Aguace over in the corner, like just just peeking, see what's going on. Like he wanted to see what it was. And we get done. I remember walking out of the locker. I laid there for a while, but let the pain die down. And you got to move around. You got to get that stuff, because motion is lotion. You got to get your blood pumping and all that. I remember I get up and I'm walking out. And Tony Aguace's punk ass is like, "Hey, JT, did that hurt?" And I remember I wanted to kill him.
Sounds just like Tony.
I wanted to kill him. Get your ass out of here.
Get a damn helmet
Meanwhile,
fixed,
like my
man.
eyes are all puffy and there's tears running down.
Well, the real shame is it just, ended up being a down season with only 12 sacks and career high 73 tackles with the 2 torn plantar fascias. So it's a shame that it impacted you like that.
You know what? I got career high tackles. I didn't realize that, but it's probably because I wasn't running up the field every play. I actually had to sit around the line of scrimmage and play to run a little bit because I couldn't move as good. I had to save it for third down. So
is that what it was?
It worked out, but that was a rough year, man. You're not practicing a whole lot. You're getting shot every game, and then it ends up being on both feet. And it was tricky too, because if you put too much in there, then your foot goes dead. You got like dead foot, like club foot, and you don't put enough, then you deal with the pain.
No comment, JT. No comment.
I know you know.
I'm not allowed to make any comments on that stuff anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't have any NDAs or anything, so I'll tell you that stuff sucks.
Well, okay, we'll keep it moving. I think I'm going to combine 2 in 1 here since we got the 25-minute Nick Saban Love Fest answer. So, all right, I want to ask you about.
You want the clock?
I want to ask you about two of my favorite moments from your career, and they actually happened within 2 weeks of each other. It was the following season. So 2006, this was, of course, your Defensive Player of the Year season. So there was a lot of great moments. But there was two in particular that if people ask me to tell me what are your favorite JT moments in his 15-year career, the first one is what I like to call the Bob Kuechenberg game. And I call it that because the Dolphins were 1-6, right? This was Saban's second year. We had won all those games, I think 6 straight to finish out the 05 season, and expectations were high. And next thing you know, we're 1-6. And where are we headed? To Chicago, and the Bears are 7-0. And so you can imagine what was being said and what the odds were. But then Bob Kuechenberg somehow finds his way into the press, and then he got under your skin a little bit. What do you remember from?
May he rest in peace. I don't want to, Cooch was a good player back in the day. But yeah, I mean, everybody had you about to get me pissed off. We were Darwin's coming into 2006. Like everyone thought, because we finished so strong in 05 after the Cleveland game, coincidentally, we went on a 6-game run. Things weren't going well. We knew we were struggling. We knew we sucked. I mean, you don't take a genius to figure out you 1-6, you suck in a lot of ways. And we got to get some stuff fixed. Everybody had to open their mouth with an opinion, and it's one thing for fans and people to say stuff, but then when alumni start saying stuff, and and you want to bring in all these guest speakers and tell you how we used to do it and what you need to do, like, shut the fuck up. Like, we understand we got some work to do. But somebody told me that Cooch had something to say. I forget what it was. It wasn't pretty or whatever. And I don't know. I didn't want to hear it anymore. And I didn't want to disrespect him, but I also didn't care at the time. I didn't say nothing bad. Just told him he needs a hug and a hobby.
Where did you come up with that?
I don't know. It was better than saying shut the fuck up.
Well, yeah, because that wouldn't have made it anywhere, right? So that
would have made it. It would have made it like in the local media because it was to the local press.
Right.
Some national guys there wouldn't have used it because it's frowned upon to talk like that. I figured hugging a hobby had traction, and we played on network TV as well as cable. Hugging a hobby. I don't know. I come up with these stupid things sometimes.
He's got a whole
bunch
of them.
He needed a hugging a hobby, man. Go do. I know we suck, and nobody gave us a chance. And then I remember I think at that week at some point I got a little mouthy about the big bad Bears or whatever, and they can kiss my ass.
The almighty Chicago Bears.
There you go. Yeah, we're not scared of the almighty Chicago Bears, and everyone was like looking at me like, "You ain't." But we went up there and whooped that ass, though.
Well, right. So that's the follow-up. It's like, this isn't one of my favorite moments simply because you said something that was catchy in the press. Is that then you went out and had you had a sack, which was the 100th sack of your career. You had an interception return for a touchdown, your second one that year at that point. And so it's like, well, actually it was your first. Your second one comes with my next question. So, I mean, and I think the sack was a strip sack. So it's one thing people, and now it's more than ever, people talk and social media and everything else, but to say it and then go back it up and to kind of tell everybody else in that locker room, like, we might be 1-6, but I got you, just follow me and we got this. And the team responded. So that had to be meaningful, I would think, beyond just your own individual performance.
I don't know if it was meaningful. It was relieving. Like, thank God that worked out. Because
you got to
set yourself up for failure.
Yeah, you write them checks, man. I got to
go back this up now.
Yeah, you write them checks, you got to be able to cash them.
Sure. Thank God. But no, it ended up being a good game. And, and there was a passionate pregame talk and all that. But that stuff only goes so far. Like, you got to prepare and you got to be ready to go and you got to believe. If you believe in life, it don't matter if it's sports or life, if you truly believe that you can do something, even if you're in over your head, even if you bit off more than you can chew, if you believe and just keep chipping away at it, like, some people just need belief. And, I think when your leaders or your guys out front, your best players believe and they carry themselves with the swag and confidence that we're going to get this done, even though you may be up against some big odds, people start thinking, early, we played really well early in that game. So you have first quarter success, you got first down success, that makes it easier on second and third. You got first quarter success, shit starts to grow. Everyone always talks about don't let bad teams hang around. Because if you let bad teams hang around, you know what happens? They start believing. So it's the same thing for us. Like, we got to start fast. We all knew that. Now, how do you start fast? It's easy to say it. It's easy to game plan it when you're in the AC and on the whiteboard. But how do we have answers for what Chicago wants to do or whoever your opponent is? How do you have our answers early on? Because you're going to see something that you haven't seen, and they're about to see something that they haven't seen. But I think a lot of our focus that week became more because we had to kind of circle the wagons a little bit, and realize that all these people outside weren't really giving us much of a chance. So it becomes more internalized, and I think you become closer like that. So that week became more like it's not about them, it's about us. Like, let's go out, let's strike first, let's stay aggressive, let's get after their ass on first down, let's win first down, but we can force short throws, or we can get after their ass on second and then get exotic on third. So I'm not worried about what they're going to do because they're good. I understand they got some players, but what are we going to do that's been different than the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks to kind of change the narrative? So we started early. We played well early. That Hunter sack with the strip sack was a great job it was not a called game, but great job by Vonnie Holiday of just climbing vertical. And he was lined up a 3 technique. He climbed vertical. I stopped at the fight line about 4.5 yards and came off his ass there. And the ball came out. Vonnie did a great job. I think Vonnie recovered it. I think it was Vonnie that recovered it. Maybe I don't know who, but I think it was Vonnie. But it was a great job by guys just believing, not trying to do too much. Just go do what we do and follow me. We'll put our best foot forward and see what happens. And it worked out. So it was meaningful because we won. Every win means something, but it was relieving and it was it was good for us. It was good for us and backed up my shit, Doc.
Well, there you go. And it's a perfect segue into the next play that I wanted to ask you about in the next moment. And it was just 2 weeks later. So now, I guess that belief was working because you beat the Bears and you win 2 in a row. And then the Vikings come into town.
No, hold on. You ain't just going to glance over and breeze by the pick six. So let's go back. Rewind. Yeah. I had a strip sack, but then I also had, go ahead.
I mentioned the pick six.
But we didn't talk about it. Talk about that shit.
Dude, you... Okay, I think what he wants me to get to, Juice, is who the quarterback was, and more importantly, where the quarterback went to school. So Rex Grossman of the Florida Gators.
There it is.
That's what he wanted to get to. He wants somehow it was going to be okay. Now we can move forward. Yes.
No, just a little pick six. I think there was a big block on that play by. There was. See, I remember some of the details, and it ain't about me.
I'm actually impressed that things are coming back to you like this.
But there was Reuben Brown on that Chicago team playing guard?
I don't know.
I think he
was
because when I picked it off, I'm pretty sure Matt Roth peeled back and got a big block on Reuben Brown. He wasn't gonna catch me.
Yeah,
Matt did that a few times. Yeah. I don't know if that was in that moment.
But yeah, I think I do remember on the way to the end zone, I see Matt. Matt was wild. Matt would knock somebody's ass out. But yeah, it was a good play. We scored. But regrets. This is a small petty regret, but I've had the chance to score 9 touchdowns in my NFL career. A lot of times I would do the Jumpman across the goal line. And my dumb ass getting caught up in the moment. I'm in Chicago.
Of all places. That's the one time you didn't do it.
And I didn't do the Jumpman across the goal line.
I didn't even realize that.
And when I got in the end zone and I got near the wall and I'm like, you score and there's fans up front and they're yelling at you and shit. And I'm telling them how much I think about them. And I'm like, oh, I missed it. And I seriously, I wanted to go back out the end zone, come back in and do it. But
do it again.
Too late at that point.
Chicago,
too late.
But
I didn't even think
how many
about
every
that.
years later, 20 years later, 19 years later, it still drives me nuts.
That is hilarious.
Man.
I never thought about that. Juice, I think I've told you. So I was at that game. It was one of the few, after I had stopped working for the team, it was one of the few road games I'd gone to. And my now wife, but Marianne, at the time we were dating, she was living in Chicago. So I flew up to visit her, figured we'd go to the game. Of all places, Urlacher we sat in the Urlacher family suite. And so we sat right up to the front and quiet. And they figured, yeah, why not? Let them sit. We're going to kick the hell out of it. We're going to kick their ass. Right. And so big deal.
Any Dolphin fan, come on in here.
So it's all Chicago. Urlacher's dad's there. Bryce was there, the whole crew. And we're sitting there. And then JT starts balling out. And Marianne had never been in an NFL game before. And she's like, she just thinks that this is just how he rolls. I'm like, well, yeah, he's really good, but this is kind of some next level stuff. But we were, I was kind of cheering internally because I didn't want to get thrown out of the suite because it was a little bit cold outside. Anyway, The other moment, now that we covered did we catch everything on that? Is there any other plays?
You can move on. We got to roll, yeah.
So 2 weeks later, Vikings are in town. They're having a rough season too. I think they were like a 6-10 team by the end of the year as well. So they were not a good football team.
River had nothing to do with it.
Had nothing to do with it. My point is that you guys are starting to roll, but it's a fourth quarter and it's only a 4-point lead. So like it's still a ball game in the fourth quarter. And Brad Johnson starts like doing this thing where they start to march down the field. You guys don't want to lose the momentum. You certainly don't want to lose to them if you've just beaten the almighty Chicago Bears 2 weeks earlier. And legend has it, 1st and 10, they're like at midfield now. Legend has it, I don't know, I wasn't there, but legend has it that you turned, I don't know if it was to Zach or to somebody, and you said, I'm about to do something amazing. Did that happen?
It did. It did.
So what in the hell?
I forgot about that.
What is going on? What are you thinking in that moment that's the time where you're going to sit there and say it? And then he does pick off the pass and returns it for 53 yards for a touchdown, Juice. So I just want to know kind of what's going through your mind in that moment that's the thing you say to yourself and whoever's next to you.
You know what? I'm gonna keep it. What a young kid said, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck. All right. We're going to talk about a couple moments where, he called it, he did this, he said that, he told the Bears they sucked and we were going to come beat your ass. And we did. Like all these things. These are great stories. And I'm going to tell you the story about the Minnesota thing. I'm going to be honest. There's probably been 1,000 other times where I said some shit that didn't come true. It ain't like I'm batting 1,000, but I'm going to take the credit. I'm going to take the credit on this one. All right. So what happened was.
That one.
I'm going to be honest. All right. So what happened was we were in a TV timeout, and there was a couple guys. It's one of those. It was fourth quarter, right?
Yeah, late, like 5 minutes left in the game.
It was one of those quieter TV timeouts. Not a whole lot's being said by guys, and some guys have started. Let's go. We got to make something happen. It's a big series. We got to get it right here. Got to get 3 and out. Get the ball back to the offense. All the things that are normally said, like the stock quotes. And I remember Zach was standing there, and the ref, who I've seen a few times after that, the ref was standing there, the umpire, standing by the ball during the TV timeout. And I was like, for whatever reason, I just turned. I was like, to the defense, I was like, I'm about to do something fucking amazing. Watch this. And they were like, what? And I was like, watch this shit. I'm about to do something. And I remember when the game was over, the ref came over. He was like, I cannot believe you called it. And you did. And I was like, in the moment you're gonna be all cocky, you're like, that's how I roll, whatever. But yeah, but luckily for me, they checked the play, and I'm supposed to be rushing. Obviously, I'm defensive end. I don't know what down it was, but they checked the play. The back stepped up a little bit, and he just moved out a little wider, which was a telltale that they were gonna run the screen. So they tried to bend block me and get me to run up the field. And, it's one of those moments where your preparation, you feel like there's a high probability this is the play they're going to run. If they don't run that play, you're not going to get much of a pass rush. So you need to convert quickly and get your hands up, try to elevate the throw if they throw the ball in the boundary there. But they did run the screen, and I just sat on it and got some good blocks. Ronaldo Hill got a big block for me, lead me down the field. Forget, it was Jeremiah Bell that dumped Brad Johnson. Was that YB?
I don't remember.
Oh no, it wasn't. You know what? It wasn't YB. I forget the name. I'm sorry. But anyway, made a big block at like the 10-yard line, dumped Brad Johnson on his back as I was going into the end zone. I was worried. I remember seeing it in live time where he was going to block the quarterback, and he pancaked him. But as you know, a lot of times when you pancake somebody, the refs can misconstrue that as holding. You tackling somebody.
Right.
So thank God they didn't throw the flag, and I Jumpman didn't get a touchdown.
Oh, you Jumpman, you finally got it right.
There was a play the very next series, there was a play. I was playing left defensive end, which I didn't play left on the left side a whole lot. But they came out, and we knew they were going to max protect because we had been lighting them up a little bit. And I jumped the count. I had the snap. I had the cadence and had the snap count. Jumped the snap count, ran by the tight end. He didn't even block me. And it's one of those ones where it's a good play, but obviously 20 years later, I'm still thinking about it. I made a big mistake trying to get the sack and being caught up in the moment because the stadium was rocking now and everyone's yelling and screaming, where I ran by the tight end in max protection. I don't even think he touched me. And Brad Johnson, I don't think saw me coming because he was looking left of the boundary and I was coming from the field playing left defensive end. And the ball was sitting there. And I truthfully should have just taken the ball and ran it back for another one. But instead, I tried to put a hole in his chest and I knocked him down. The ball came out. They recovered the fumble. But it should have been, I should have just took the ball and scored again. So
that would have been crazy.
Trying to do too much and getting caught up in the moment instead of doing what I know I should have done. I still remember it.
You know, Big Seth, I love all this talk because, you know, we know what JT did on the football field, but what we're hearing is his whole preparation, man. JT's success wasn't by accident. It wasn't by accident. It was hard work. It was also like how serious he was about his craft, but it's also his preparation, man. You know, he's talking about things that they knew, you know, the pick six, and that's stuff that he saw. Some guys think they can show up on Sundays or Mondays or Thursdays or Fridays or whatever freaking day it is nowadays, right, JT, and be successful, man. Dude, that's what it's all about, man. That professionalism itself and that will to not ever lose at anything is that, you know, dude, that's why we need 1,000 JTs on our lives, bro. I'm telling you that. And sometimes it's rough because it's like, you know, it's rough. And trust me, I'm the same dude. You know, I try to fight a 300-pound defensive lineman for no reason. You know what I mean? But sometimes, man, it's like because you have that will to not lose because your will to win is so great, man. You know, and that's that hard work and preparation, man. That's why I love this dude, man, on my team. And we need more dudes like that, man. We need more dudes like that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot. It's there's a lot of great athletes out there. You know, you get in the league, you got the best of the best in the world playing football. So it was always finding little small things to get an advantage, whether it be, you know, people say, "Oh, you're cheating this snap, you're cheating this, you're doing." No, don't cheat the game, but take all the advantages that you can get. So, you know, little things. I always felt like the little things kind of separated, you know, gave me a little bit of an edge. Whether it be knowing the snap count, somebody had a twitch, somebody had a tail, the back steps up in Childs. On that particular play against Minnesota, when we knew they were going to max protect, the tight end was a line close, tackled in a 2-point stance, and he was down in a 3-point with his ass back. Like I knew max protection was coming. So although I was supposed to be in the 9 technique, I just got really wide and just freaking took off. I had the snap count as well. Now, you know, back in the day, and I'll say it now because a lot of stuff has changed, but you know, some quarterbacks are loud. Some quarterbacks, especially when they're on the road, got to yell so the receiver on the opposite side of the huddle can hear the snap count. So I'm going to get myself in a position to be able to see your lips, and they always end. Juice, you know, they call the play. They call the protection, the play, the routes, yada, yada, formation, motion, the shift, snap count. Last thing they say is a snap count. I ain't a lip reader, but I can see on set, 1, 2, whatever it may be. Right. So, you know, using those advantages. And then we had code where we pass it down to the rest of the defensive line and let them know what the snap count was and things like that. Just finding small advantages in the game.
No doubt about it. All right, JT, we're almost done with you here, bro. Man, it's been so good, man. But there's something I've always wanted to ask you. It's been for a while, man. We found out when you were selected as a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2017 that Tom Brady actually wrote a letter to the selection committee endorsing you. First of all, what'd you think when you saw that letter? And my follow-up question is, if you gave Tom Brady more hell than you gave Tom Brady more hell than anybody, damn near anybody in his 20-year career, how in the world did you guys get so close after I mean, you had to be the biggest thorn in his side his whole career.
I mean, that was probably a pain in his ass, but he took years off my life too. So, I mean,
you're not alone.
I mean, you know, great recognizes great, I guess. And, you know, we went at it a lot of times and they would wear our hind parts out in Foxborough, but then they come to Miami and we usually played them pretty well, even in their great years and our lean years. But obviously it meant the world to me that Brady, you know, thought that highly of me to say the things he said. We've always had mutual respect and been friends for a long time. From the time he first came in the league and or he wasn't Tom Brady yet, or he was still Tommy, and then he started turning to Tom, and then Tom Brady, and then there's Brady. You know, when you just go by your last name,
you get one name, you made it. You got one name, you made it.
Yeah. But you know, I'm not going to take 25 minutes to fanboy over Brady like I just did Nick Saban. But there are two people in this world that
are sensitive.
There are a few people that are on this pedestal. Of guys that played in my era. Obviously, Dan Marino's up there as well because I've always been a fan of his, and he was a teammate. But you look at Coach Saban and Tom Brady, and the respect is never ending. The admiration for what they were able to accomplish. Tom's an ultimate competitor. Made it really hard to play against. We would go at it. We were friends off the field. You know, bitter rivals on the field. Always kept it respectful. One of the few quarterbacks I would ever help up. I always say Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Dan Marino are the only three guys I'd ever help up. And if I ever knocked Dan Marino down, I'd be cut. So never got a chance to help. Never got a chance to help Marino up, but the other two I have picked them up a few times.
All right. So last question before we roll into the final segment of this thing. We're less than a month away from the 15th annual Dolphins Cancer Challenge. And a few years ago, they renamed their rides after different Miami Dolphins Hall of Famers. Of course, there's you just mentioned Dan Marino. There's the 13-mile Dan Marino ride, which, Juice, I think you're going to do the 13-mile.
This year, for sure.
Juice will be on the 13-mile. There's the 39-mile Larry Zonka, the 54-mile Zach Thomas, and then the ride of all rides, like when real riders get out there, which I know I just said Juice is doing the 13. I'll give him credit. He did the 99 last year.
Did the JT last year, for sure.
He did the JT. So there's the 99-mile Jason Taylor ride. What does it mean to have that ride named in your honor and to know that so many people are raising literally millions and millions of dollars in support of innovative cancer research in the spirit of your name?
Well, the DCC has been around for a long time, and I think that the ride just got named after my number a few years ago. So obviously the history of what the Miami Dolphins and the DCC have done for so long is tremendous. I mean, the amount of money raised, the awareness, the love and the support that the whole community, the whole country has really gotten behind. People come from all over the place and participate in it. The Dolphins have done an amazing job putting this thing together. So I'm honored to have a ride named after me, or after my number, because I wore that jersey number. It means a lot. Obviously, it's a fruit of some of your labor, and it's a great honor to be associated with it. Now, with that being said, again, like the young guys say, I don't even know if they say it anymore, but I heard it, I think, last month in the locker room. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Keep it a buck.
You said it twice. You're gonna stop saying it.
I'm not gonna ride that 99-mile ride. All right. I appreciate the name. If I had to do it, I would be a little closer. I told you how much of a fan I am of Dan Marino.
Right.
I'd probably be a little closer to the 13.
I thought you were going to say you're waiting on the Tua. You're waiting on the Tua.
Yeah, when they going to do that one? Yeah. I just I wish I could do it, but I already got something scheduled during that ride. I got to get fitted for a hairpiece, so I ain't gonna be able to make that one.
Right.
But, no, it's I look forward to being involved, but I can't. I'm not real big on the bike ride. Although my wife did just buy me a bike. It's an electric bike.
Is it electric or is it a pedal assist?
It's a pedal assist.
That's what you got to use, JT. Use that.
It's pedal assist. But I made a very strong point to the man before I put it in my truck when I had to go pick it up, because she did the shopping and I had to come pick it up, of course. When I pick it up, I was like, all right, how does this bike work? I said, it's electric, right? He goes, well, it's pedal assist. I'm like, what the hell? You have to explain this to me, all right? Because I ain't rode a bike since it was a Huffy and I had the big banana seat.
Right.
He's like, well, you, depending on what gear, you know how it works. You can put it on eco, you can put it on tour, you can put it on turbo or whatever. And like, that's how much help you get. I'm like, all right, so what if I need all the help? He was like, then you just press the gas. He goes, but if you just press the gas and you don't pedal, it's going to make that sound like that 10 speeds maker. They call them 10 speeds still? Like that little click, like, he's like, so people going to know you ain't pedaling. They're going to know you're on electric. I was like, I don't give a damn what they know, right? As long as this bike will go.
Wait, so when I spoke with you yesterday, I thought you were doing something, you said you were just riding. Were you on that?
I was on the bike.
Okay.
I was on the bike. Now I did.
Were you pedaling? Because it was noisy as hell.
I was doing pedal assist.
Pedal assist.
But as soon as I hung up with you and I had to get back home, and it was getting a little chilly outside, I put my hoodie on, I tightened it up, and I did not pedal assist coming home. It was a lot of clicking the whole way.
Oh man, that's great. That is great. Well, JT, you have told me all the time we don't do stuff just to do it, right? You tell me that all the time at work, and we don't do something the same way just because we did it that way in the past. So we have tried to evolve with the fish tank. You listen to the show, you are familiar now. The last couple of years, we added the 2-minute drill. My offensive guys take a different approach to the 2-minute drill than my defensive guys. We know how you like. We just talked about the dramatic flair for ending a 2-minute drive. We talked about all that. But so you have 2 minutes. Put it in your head there. 2 minutes are on the clock. We're going to throw a few questions at you. Hopefully, get a laugh or two, and then we'll get you out of here.
Okay, we're going to do parameters of the 2-minute drill because everybody else has an option, but you're just going to glance over the option.
Right. With me, huh? See, I'm glad you know that about us.
The defensive guys never asked.
You don't want timeouts. You don't need timeouts. You got it's 2 minutes. You don't need timeouts, bro. What do you want from us?
But see, these guys talk about the defensive guys don't usually ask. Just because you know what I'm going to say don't mean you can't ask me anyway. I still want asked.
JT, would you like some timeouts?
Hell no.
Okay, there it is.
Look, we're playing at home in Miami. You had to burn them timeouts earlier because of crowd noise. You ain't got no more timeouts. And Juice will tell you the way we used to work. I know I'm deviating. I'll be right back.
It's all good.
The way we used to do 2-minute drill in practice is no matter what, whether it's a timeout or whatever, we do not take a break. We don't get water. We don't sub. So we're gonna do that 2-minute on the fish tank. It's gonna be the same way we used to practice it. There are no timeouts. There was no water breaks. Let's roll.
No water breaks.
All right, Coach Juice, you're up.
There's no water breaks, Daryl. Can't take yourself out of 2 minutes.
You better spike that bitch.
That's right. All right, here we go. You ready? Seth, you got the clock ready?
Let's go.
All right, JT. We love that you are an avid fish tank listener, and we appreciate, those downloads that you always have for us. But what would you say is your all-time favorite fish tank episode?
Boy, that's not a fair question because there's too many good ones. You guys have been doing it for a long time.
That's a good answer.
Some of the great ones, obviously Dan Marino. It's always great to hear Dan Marino. Wish he would tell more stories on the fish tank like he tells when we're having a drink together. Yeah. Those are the ones you need to get. There were some serious ones, a hard hitting serious, like Israel Gutierrez's episode was really good.
Absolutely.
Who blew my mind a little bit? That damn Jimmy Cephalo.
Yes.
I didn't want to say no names. I didn't want to mispronounce it and piss somebody off.
It's in Pennsylvania, baby.
Sure. Yeah. And then obviously when you get the big personalities like Joe Rose and Channing Crowder, those are always entertaining.
Outstanding.
All right, we're gonna keep it moving because timeouts are gone. All right, what was more nerve-wracking for you? Your first live dance on Dancing with the Stars in front of 18 million people, or dancing the haka on stage at the Tua Foundation Luau a few years back?
Oh, no, Dancing with the Stars by far.
Yeah.
For a guy that doesn't dance and can't dance, it was a wallflower. Yeah, that was the worst. Dude, I seriously sick to my stomach. I never understood people getting nervous like that for stuff, and I always try to play it cool, but that was bad. The hockey thing with that Tua's event was, it was a little uncomfortable, but you kind of, the older you get, the less shame you got anymore. You're just like, oh, whatever. I mean, if they could wear them shirts and skirts, I can go up there and bounce around for them.
Yeah, he says that now, Juice. You should have seen what he had to say to me when we walked off the stage. He was not very happy.
Somebody couldn't get it now. Yeah, I didn't have a heads up, and you knew.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, bullshit. You knew.
Okay.
You knew.
All right.
You almost had to freshen up your CV that night.
Yeah, real quick. I'm gonna call a timeout real quick, Big Seth, because I want to ask JT.
Spike the ball. He said we don't have any timeouts.
I've got a timeout on my side. It's so crazy, JT, that you say that because you're so comfortable out there in front of millions of people watch you play football. But when you got millions of people watch you do something that you're not as comfortable with, it's a whole different world, man.
We do have that
right?
conversation.
Like me playing golf in front of a bunch of people is worse than me playing football in front of 100,000 people. You know
Absolutely.
What I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, going to one of them tournaments like Tahoe, hitting the drive with all the people standing around or dancing. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. Now, it makes you focus. The athlete in you starts to focus more.
Right.
You try to be ultra focused, but the end of the day, it's a crapshoot. Like, I don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know how it's going to work out. All right, back to
no, don't start it up yet. No, don't start it up yet. It's a TV timeout. I have to now, since you forced me into saying the Florida Rex Grossman thing. You just talked about having to golf in front of a bunch of people. So JT played in an event.
Tebow, man, keep going.
No, but it's a great story because you played light years more golf than that guy ever played. And where were we? It was in Jacksonville. I forget where we were, but we
were in Jacksonville, I think.
There had to be 200 people on both sides, and you guys were in the teeing off in the tee box. And Tebow says, JT, I've played like twice in my life. And you said it was nerve-wracking because what you really don't want to do is hurt somebody, right?
Kill somebody, yeah.
Yeah. So Tebow swings it truly Happy Gilmore style. And he goes in there. Juice. Now the entire day he probably shot a 207. Like he sprayed the ball. He had a 14-stroke hole. But on that shot, he drive that thing right down the center, 500. Like it was ridiculous. And
he drove the green. He drove the green.
Damn, got lucky. That's all it takes sometimes, right? We all get lucky.
I shake mine, right?
Everybody was safe though. All right. TV's back on.
Let's get back. Let's get back to is time running again, Big Seth?
As soon as you start this question.
Right, because you got to wait for the snap. Come on, man. Let's just testing you, man. I didn't know if you guys, you and Harvey and Neil up there, I didn't know if you guys knew that's how football worked, at their timeout.
We have no clue how it works.
All right, let's get back to dancing, JT, real quick. We had your former teammate, Tirade, on. He was in the tank, and he said his Pee Wee Herman dance, his celebration was the greatest ever in Miami Dolphin history. And as a matter of fact, he said your bullseye punch was an L7 weenie. Who had the better celebration?
Well, first of all, I will say this. Like the Pee Wee Herman thing was like, all right, it was cute. Like the first couple times, like the first time or second time, whatever. But I mean, of course, to him, he thought it was the greatest. But I mean, you put it out on the poll, put it out on the fish tank poll or something. Put it on your Twitter.
All right, we'll do that.
Did you guys enjoy seeing the Pee Wee Herman celebration 7 times or the bullseye 139 and a half times?
There we go.
All right, I don't.
Next question.
No, okay.
You better hurry up because it's 4th and 10 now.
I almost could answer. I could almost just end it right there, but I got to get this question out. It is the last one because there's a Dolphins mystery that has not been solved in nearly.
It's the last one. It's 4th and 10, and there's 3 seconds to go, and you got to get it to the end zone.
What if I got Dan Maria? Okay, all right. So, in 2007, just hours before, and I know it's a rough year, we don't have to bring it up, hours before the team was going to take off for London, the first ever NFL regular season game played outside of America. For a month, they had a 300-foot Jason Taylor robot just walking around London, and the whole thing was a big deal. The great Harvey Green, my former boss, was handling his business, I'll just say that, in a bathroom stall in the locker room. And then he ended up being doused, Juice. I don't know if you know this. He was doused with like 5 gallons of freezing cold water. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it was like a garbage can filled with ice. I don't know if it came from the cold tub. But poor Harvey had one suit to his name, and it just got completely just drenched. Freezing cold water. He apparently lost his mind, had to call an audible. I don't know what he showed up. He didn't want to be late to the plane and miss the flight to London. That's your locker room, JT. Nothing happened in that locker room without you knowing what happened. Can you, for the first time ever, publicly reveal who was the culprit that did that to poor Harvey Green?
You guys are assholes for this.
I'm just asking a question.
All right, we'll go back. I'm going to use your question to start my answer.
Okay.
Whose locker room did you say it was?
I said it was your locker room.
Okay, and that was my shitter too.
Oh, God.
So his ass should not have been in our shitter or my shitter. What happened was, as Juice knows in the old facility, you know where the cold tubs were, Juice. You got to walk past the bathroom to get to the cold tubs. When you need the cold tubs coming back. Now, one thing you always do, like the clock's over. I'm gonna finish this story.
Yeah, that's all right.
You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful when you go take a dump when you're in a football facility. Like I always did it, not when the meeting starts, but like 12 minutes into the meeting, it's safe because everybody's in their meeting. There's no scragglers out there. No one knows what's going on. No one can see you. Because if you take a dump like before practice when there's 40 guys running around getting ready for practice, Someone's gonna see your feet. They're gonna see the numbers on your slides or something, and you're gonna get something. You're gonna get water. You're gonna get ketchup. You're gonna get honey. You can get something that's gonna ruin. You're gonna get water followed by powder. Something's gonna get you. So,
and you can't do anything. You can't go. You
ain't nothing you
can't
can
do
do.
anything about it.
I mean, you're in the middle of it.
You're in the middle
your
of
pants are around your ankles.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you have your cleats on already because you're about to go to practice. Like, you screwed. So anyway, I'll forget what I was. I forget what I was running back there for. But I happened to go by the bathroom. And there ain't a whole lot of things back there that you need, but we were about to leave. Like you said, the bus was about to leave to the airport. And you hear noise in there. You know, somebody's in there struggling. They're like grunting and struggling. I'm like, damn, who? And I see, because Harvey wore a pair of shoes that very clearly are Harvey Greens. That's what they call them. You got J's, you got Adidas, and you got Harvey Greens. So he had the Harveys on. And I'm like, this dude is not shitting in our shitter, like right now. All right, this is wrong. All right, so yes, we got a bucket. I'm going to say we because I ain't going to take all the blame. We got a bucket, filled it up in the cold tub. Like, I'm talking about like 36-degree water. And it was like spilling as we're walking. And I'm like holding it away and had to let it go over the thing.
Oh, man.
But not only did the water go,
the whole
so I'm trying to keep my shoes out of the water, number one. And I don't want you to see my shoes because you can identify me by my shoes, and they were probably some J's. So I'm trying to keep everything out the way. So instead of dumping the water, I was like, screw it. The whole thing got to go. Bucket, water, everything. And he lost it. He started screaming, and oh my God, it was so there. Like, it was probably wrong. The suit probably needed a wash. The suit probably needed washed anyway. So
JT probably wrong.
It was probably. I wish Cam Cameron was in that some bitch, but it was probably wrong to do it to Harvey. But it was great. It was great. And then I ran in the locker room.
It was great.
And I sat down in front of my locker, and I was like, and I could hear him yelling. He comes in the locker room in his tighty whities that were tight 17 years ago, but they ain't no more.
Oh man!
And he's holding
What's
his suit
happening right now.
He's holding his suit in his hand, and it's just dripping, and he's pissed. Who the fuck? And he was just going off on everybody. And I'm like, Harvey, what happened? And he was like, someone fucking threw water. I'm like, that's mess. I was like, Harvey, we're leaving like in 5 minutes. I know. And he like went out the locker room. I guess he let everybody know he was not very happy. It was a great moment. You're going to have to cut this whole story up a little bit.
But at least we know the answer. That is the 2-minute drill.
That is the 2-minute
drill. The mystery has been solved.
The hell with that 2-minute drill. We already won the game, but yeah, I got Harvey. It's all good.
Strip sack, and you know what I mean? You know how it works with JT, man.
But I got, you know what? Karma's a bitch now. Because we went to London. Obviously, we lost the game. We lost everything that year. But I got outran by Eli Manning to the end zone for a touchdown down by the goal line.
You did.
Messing around. That's what happens.
Yeah. You didn't say that you were about to do something amazing before that play, did you?
That was amazing too. Getting out.
You did do something amazing. You got outran by Eli Manning.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Chad Powers got your ass.
I'm in so much trouble, man. Yeah, he did.
I think we all. He said Chad Powers. I think we all are. But this was the good trouble. This was great. This was great stuff, man. I know how much you have going on. Like for years, I've been telling people how busy you are, JT, but that's just because I know that like you don't want to do stuff because you'd rather be golfing or fishing or something. But now you are legitimately busier than anybody I know.
Yeah.
And so for making the time here for us is very meaningful. Juice, maybe in another 5-6 years, we'll get him back on if we still have this thing.
I love it, man, for sure, man. It's like no matter what, it's always going to be epic, man. This is another epic episode, bro. And JT, we appreciate you, man. We really do, man. We know your time is valuable, like a lot of guys, man. But you spread it thin. You spread thin right now, bro. So we appreciate you diving in, man. Thanks for diving in.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys having me. It is the absolute best podcast. So I enjoy it. Keep doing what you're doing, guys.
You're now diving into the fish tank.